Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm super excited to talk about a stock that I've just bought into. Now, this is a highly speculative play, but I think in the long term this company has massive potential. Now, if you read the title of this video, you already know what the company is. The ticker symbol is SHLL, and the company is Hyliion. So today I'm going to be talking about what exactly Hyliion is, why am I so excited about this company, and what exactly my position size is, and whether or not I've made or lost money on my position. Lots to talk about, and without further ado, let's jump in. So just a disclaimer before we begin, this is a highly speculative play. So when it comes to investing, there's investing, which is what I typically focus on this channel, which is finding these high quality long-term stocks that I can hold for a long time and has stable business models and stable revenues. Either they pay a dividend or they have stable business models that allow the stock price to grow a lot over the course of the next 10 years or so. But with Hyliion, it's more of the investing gambling side. So this is, as I said, a highly speculative play, and right now they don't have any meaningful revenue, which means that there's no way to do like a proper fundamental analysis on this company. So on this channel I like to focus on the investing side, but sometimes I also like to gamble. So this is totally on the gambling side, and I like to think that this is more of an educated gamble. So I'm not just like taking my money and going to the casino and putting all my money on black on the roulette wheel, or putting all my money on a slot machine or something like that. So I would like to think that this is more of an educated gamble, but it's a gamble nonetheless. And the position size that I've chosen is very carefully chosen. Now also, by no means should you follow me blindly into this position, because again, as I said, this is more like gambling, right? I don't want to be responsible if you lose money, because you could easily lose 100% of what you put in. Now the stock went up by like 40% on Friday, so if it goes up by 40% in one day on like no major news, you could easily see it going down by 40% in one day on no major news, right? So this is sort of like the gambling part that I was talking about, right? So yeah, by no means should you follow me blindly into this. Please do your own research, and I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So with that out of the way, what exactly is Hyliion? So Hyliion is a company that makes electrified powertrains for Class A transport vehicles. So those big semi-trucks, or 18-wheelers as we call them here in the US and Canada, or as some of our British viewers would like to call them, the lorries. So yeah, so they make electric powertrains for those transport trucks, and you would notice that this is very similar to a business model of Nikola, who's trying to make these semi-trucks that are powered with hydrogen. Now, like Nikola, their goal is trying to make the transport industry more environmentally friendly and more efficient. Also similar to Nikola, they're doing a merger IPO. So if you remember how Nikola IPO worked, they merged with a different company that was already publicly listed, and then together they just changed the ticker, and then they're now trading under NKLA, right? So Hyliion's doing the same thing, where they're merging with another company called Tortoise Acquisition, ticker symbol SHLL. So if you're wondering why the ticker symbol is so weird, it's because it's the ticker symbol of tortoise. You get it? Because it's a shell company and it's called Tortoise, so like SHLL, like shell. Anyways, yeah, so they're merging with Tortoise Acquisition, and then after the acquisition and after the merger completes, they're going to be changing the ticker to HYLN, which is the proper ticker for Hyliion. But right now, if you want to buy into Hyliion, you got to buy into SHLL, and then once the merger completes, you'll have the ticker moved over automatically. So that's why the ticker symbol is so weird. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I'm not a big fan of Nikola at all. I just think that there are a lot of red flags revolving around Nikola. And first of all, there's no money down when you pre-order any of their semis, which they like to tout their pre-order numbers. But if you're not charging a deposit when someone orders, I could easily just like go onto their website and order like 10 of them, right? And I think by now they realized this, and people were just like trolling them and ordering a bunch of semi-trucks, so they actually took that page down. But before, anyone could just go into their website and order like 10 semi-trucks. And is that number included in their pre-order numbers? Which is, if that is the case, then their pre-order numbers basically mean nothing. And now also, I think that there's problems with the high cost of hydrogen. So Nikola claims that they're gonna build all these like infrastructure and of hydrogen, and right now they don't have any hydrogen stations, right? They're gonna have to spend billions of dollars building out an infrastructure, and hydrogen itself is a lot more expensive than all the other fuel types. Yeah, so I just think that there's a lot of potential problems with using hydrogen, and I'm just not a big fan of the business model just because of the additional amount of money that they would have to spend building out the infrastructure and the additional money that all their customers will have to commit to refueling the truck once they buy it. And also, they put out this press release saying that they made this battery with 500 watt-hours per kilogram of energy density. So if you didn't know what any of that meant, let me put that into perspective for you. That's essentially twice of what Tesla is claiming that they're able to put out. So Nikola is claiming that they have this battery that's twice as good as Tesla's, and then if you look at the data, according to Hyperchange, the best battery that's available right now is about 350 watt-hours per kilogram. So, and Nikola's claiming 500, right? So, I don't know, all this just seems a little sketchy to me, right? It's like, if you have this battery, where's your battery lab? Who's making it? And can we see the battery? Like, this is just, I feel like people are not really reading into this as much as they should. And a lot of people who have FOMO'd into Nikola stock because they see it just skyrocketing, they don't really understand the technology behind it, right? So yeah, I just think that there's a lot of problems potentially with Nikola. And that's why I'm not touching this stock with a 10-foot pole. And also, one last note, can I just mention that Nikola's valuation is insane right now. So if you look at their market cap, it's actually around the same as Ford. Now, granted, that Ford is not doing so well at the moment, but still, a company that has zero revenue until 2021 is worth the same as Ford. Yeah, and looking at the valuation, I'm not even comfortable with the idea of holding this stock. You're telling me that a company that has zero revenue up until 2021 should be valued the same as Ford? Come on, give me a break, guys. Now you're gonna say, wait a minute, Andy, but Hyliion has no meaningful revenues until 2022. Well, that is true. If you look at the merger acquisition deal with Tortoise Acquisition, you can see that the implied valuation of Hyliion is actually only $1.5 billion. Now, this is like half of what Nikola was when they first did their IPO, and is certainly a long shot away from Nikola's valuation right now. So I think that, you know, if it was a $1.5 billion company, it's okay if it's not meaningful revenue until 2022. But for Nikola, there's no excuse, right? I don't think that is good for a company to have zero revenue that's valued at the same as Ford. But I understand the hype surrounding Nikola because I know people are excited around the electrification of transport vehicles. But if you're looking into potentially buying Nikola stock, I really think you should look into Hyliion instead, if you're going to choose between the two. Now, of course, they're both highly speculative, but I think that Hyliion is just a lot better compared to Nikola in just every single way possible. And yeah, I'm going to explain the exact reason why very soon. Now, first of all, I'm going to put up a competitive landscape chart of what Hyliion is doing. And you can see that right now, yes, there is more of an upfront cost compared to diesel, but you can see that over the long term, they do provide cost savings when you're looking at a 7-year time span. Now, if you look at what they're offering in the future, you can see that they offer significant cost advantages over what Nikola and even Tesla has to offer. Now, if you're wondering why the cost is so much lower when it comes to Hyliion compared to Nikola or Tesla, it's because of one thing, and that's called renewable natural gas. So that's right, so the electric powertrains I was talking about is actually powered by renewable natural gas. Now, if you're wondering, natural gas? That doesn't sound exactly environmentally friendly. Well, it actually is. Let me tell you why. So renewable natural gas has gone from like stuff decomposing. So think of your compost bin, and your compost bin, when things decompose and when like manure and animal waste and stuff like that, when it decomposes, it releases methane. So methane is a pretty powerful greenhouse gas. So if we can collect that methane and turn it into natural gas, which is virtually indistinguishable from regular natural gas, by the way, so we collect that natural gas to prevent it from escaping into the atmosphere, and we use it to power these electric semi-trucks, that's actually pretty environmentally friendly because one, you're capturing the things that would otherwise go into the atmosphere, and number two, you're displacing the need for diesel. Now I'm going to put up a chart of exactly how renewable natural gas works, and you can see that it could be a closed loop system, right? So, you know, the truck transports all the food and stuff that would otherwise be consumed and decomposed, and then people and animals would consume them, and then you collect the natural gas that's given off by the stuff decomposing, and then you put it back into powering the electric truck to transport more food. So it's sort of like a cycle, and it's really environmentally friendly actually. And now Hyliion claims that with this they can actually achieve a carbon negative impact on the environment because, as I said, they're collecting the greenhouse gases that would otherwise go into the air, and they're displacing the need for diesel, and diesel is very dirty. As some of you remember the Volkswagen scandal a couple years back, yeah, diesel is very dirty, right? So Volkswagen had to cheat to like convince everyone that diesel is not dirty, but it actually is really dirty, and you know, they got caught cheating and all that stuff because even Volkswagen can't figure out a way to make diesel clean. So diesel is really bad for the environment, and if we can replace that with renewable natural gas, it can actually have a carbon negative impact on the environment. Now also, besides the carbon negative part, besides the environmentally friendly part, there's also an advantage when it comes to cost. So I'm going to put up a chart when it comes to the different cost of hydrogen versus electricity from the grid versus renewable natural gas, and you can see that renewable natural gas is cheap now and it will be cheap in the future, versus hydrogen and electricity are both expensive, and the cost of electricity will come down, the cost of hydrogen will also come down, but even when they come down, it's not as cheap as renewable natural gas is at right now at the moment. Now, besides the cost advantages, there's also another big advantage, which I think is like the golden goose of all advantages, which is range. Now, I'm going to put up a chart of what exactly the range of a Hyliion truck is compared to Tesla and Nikola, and you can see that the advantage of range is massive, almost as good as diesel, and is massively better than Tesla and Nikola. And also their payload capacity is also bigger than everyone's. It's bigger than even diesel because natural gas is really light and it's really energy dense and it's really powerful. So yeah, there's multiple advantages. There's also other advantages like acceleration, which I'm not sure if it's that important for a truck to be able to accelerate really fast, but hey, the advantages is there as well. So there's an advantage when it comes to acceleration. So yeah, there's also other advantages, and I'm not going to waste too much time talking about all of them, but yeah, there's other advantages with renewable natural gas, such as like refueling time, right? So you don't have to like plug it in and wait for like 45 minutes like you do with a Tesla semi. So yeah, that's also another advantage. But if you're just putting yourself in the shoes of a shipping company, range is the most important thing to you, right? Or payload capacity as well. So both range and payload capacity, that's like the most important thing. And then if you think about also the retrofitting service that Hyliion has, so everyone's trying to make their trucks electric these days, and if you're a shipping company, you got to think to yourself, would I rather get rid of all my diesel trucks and just buy all new brand new like Tesla or Nikola trucks, or would I rather try to utilize my old fleet somehow and maybe just retrofit them to be more efficient and things like that? So I think that the value proposition of Hyliion really does make a lot of sense. And if you look at their compatibility, their hybrid train system, their hybrid powertrain system is actually compatible with a lot of OEM manufacturers like Volvo and companies like that. So no more modification is needed, right? They can just take a regular old Volvo truck and their powertrain is compatible, and they could just like mod it and fit it right in. And also there's no new training that's needed for a driver to drive those. So the operationally is the same as driving just a regular old diesel truck. So you don't have to retrain everyone. And Hyliion says that the total addressable market for this is $800 billion. Now I'm not a big expert in the transport industry, so I don't know how accurate this is, but I know it's a big market, right? So that's why everyone's trying to go for it, and that's why Tesla's trying to go for it, that's why Nikola's trying to go for it, and now Hyliion's trying to go for it. So even if it's not $800 billion, I know it's still a massive opportunity ahead. Now lastly, moving on, the last point that I want to mention is the infrastructure advantage of Hyliion versus everyone else. So one of my biggest gripes with Nikola is that they're going to have to build out this network of hydrogen refueling stations, which is going to be expensive. Now, according to Hyliion, in order to achieve 700 hydrogen refueling stations, Nikola will have to spend about $12 billion to build out this system. Now, with renewable natural gas, there are already 700 stations all across North America. So I'm going to put up a map of what that looks like. And the cost advantage of that is basically Hyliion has like a $12 billion lead ahead of Nikola, right? So Nikola would have to try and build out their own stations, and it would cost them around $12 billion. Even if it's not entirely accurate, it would cost them billions and billions of dollars. That's the point, right? So they're going to have to spend billions and billions of dollars just to match Hyliion, versus with Hyliion, the stations, there's already there, right? And Hyliion claims that they don't have to build out any more new infrastructure. So yeah, there's a lot more I can talk about, but this video is getting a little long, so I'm gonna stop talking about Hyliion here and reveal my position as to exactly how many shares I bought. So I bought 50 shares of SHLL at a cost basis of $17.67 each. So yeah, as you can see, it's like an $800, $900-ish position. So I didn't want to spend that much money, right? Because as I said, this is a highly speculative play, so I don't want to dump too much money into this. I might have wanted to double down, but now that the stock has skyrocketed 40%, as you can see, I'm up like 40% on my position. I don't know if I want to average down anymore, so I might just leave those 50 shares and see what happens. So yeah, that's my position. And I'm really excited for this one. And as I said, don't follow me into this blindly, right? So, you know, I made a bet, and this time it turns out that I won, but easily I could have lost, right? So it went up 40%, it could have easily went down 40% in a day. And you're wondering, hey, you keep talking about how it's a gamble, then why didn't you just buy options? Well, the answer to that is I couldn't. There are actually no options for this company right now. And I think it's because of the merger acquisition thing that they're doing, right? So SHLL, Tortoise Acquisition, is actually just a like shell company, and then yeah, there's no reason why you would buy into SHLL if without this merger deal, right? So there's no reason why anyone would pay attention to this shell company, because basically a shell company just basically does nothing, right? So it's a company that only exists on paper, so there's no reason why anyone would want to trade options on a shell company before this deal became into effect. So that's why there are no options. Now, I'm guessing that when the ticker switch is over, when this deal completes, when the two companies merge and the ticker switches to HYLN, then there will be options available. And when that day comes, I might be actually looking to buy some calls, right? So, you know, I'm not going to put too much money into this. I'm probably only going to dump like 100 or 200, 300 bucks in it max, and just to see what would happen. Because I really don't feel comfortable with dumping a high proportion of my money into it, just because this is such a risky bet, right? So I don't want to lose a significant portion of my account. So everything that I put into this company, I'm going in with a mindset that I'm okay with losing 100% of what I put in. So that's my opinion. Now, obviously, again, this is not financial advice, and by no means should you follow me into this stock. So please do your own research before deciding on whether or not you want to buy into Hyliion stock. So with that being said, this video is getting super long, so I'll end it here. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you like the series. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links down below in the description as always. And don't forget about the Q&A, that's still ongoing, so if you look at the last video, I'll put up a link to that video somewhere, probably up here or down in the description. If you haven't asked your question, the Q&A is still going on, so be sure to leave that in the comments. Now with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.